sweating to the oldies.
I know. That's it's kind of nice to, work it out. Get it out of the system,
It's kind of like it's sort of a Tai Chi or something. Yeah.
A little bit of a catharsis.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we should talk a little bit about how you got started as a musician, because I realize I don't know as much about that as I once thought I did. But do you remember when you first decided? I think I'm going to pick up an instrument.
Well, I grew up. My parents kind of got me into taking piano lessons when I was a kid, and I was really kind of they thought it was a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started taking piano, and I wasn't really super into it, but I did learn music theory and played all the the Bach's, what do they call it, the 3 B's, Bach, Brahms, Beethoven, or something like that.
Right.
I always wanted to play guitar, and my music teacher was really sort of prejudiced against guitar and thought it was a waste of time. And but yeah, I started doing 4-track recordings and just picking up instruments on my own, and I kind of taught myself how to play and played a lot of rock bands in high school, and but I always really loved experimental music, and I loved songwriting too, and I spent years just writing songs and crafting songs, and just I never really had a lot of success. I did play in a couple of bands and put out records and do some small tours, but I've always been kind of pretty fringy and just doing a day job, and it's only the last 3 or 4 years I really indulged in experimental stuff and performing out. And it was kind of a way, I always envisioned, I always admired jazz musicians, and I always had this idea of just not having to rehearse and just going to a club, and just playing and just being free. And that's kind of what I eventually started doing. I didn't set out to necessarily do that, but it was always in the back of my mind. And so experimental and free improvised stuff was just a way to, I don't know, just have a real free expression, and just be able to, I don't know, tap into something different. And I've also been the last year really into meditation, and so music and performing is kind of crossed over in that a little bit. And so sometimes it's not to be put, I don't know what the word is, but it's not that the music is secondary or something, but it's more the state of mind when I'm performing. It takes priority over necessary. I don't I do a lot of recordings and stuff, but I mean, not to put them down or anything, but I don't actually listen back to them. I do at times listen to stuff, but it's more important performing it and experiencing what's happening versus I want to some free improvised music that's there's chords and melodies and trying to construct something. But yeah, it's just I kind of went from doing really structured music to now it's just completely alien to me, the idea of compose. I always want to set out to every once in a while compose music, but it feels weird to me a little bit right now, because I don't really want to repeat it. I don't imagine. There's a couple of times where I was I'd like to write a piece and compose something and then perform it, but every time I sit down to do it, I get a bored feeling where I'm just I just don't.
This is not where I want to put my energy.
I mean, sometimes when I'm improvising, it's not that I feel things aren't working out, but even that is an exercise or an experience that can be interesting for me too. It's not a failure or something. So,
right.
But yeah, it's I have a musical background, but this it's funny. Somebody heard me recently play slide and blues stuff that I do when I'm busking, especially, and they were like, "Wow, you can actually play guitar." It's you don't do noise or whatever it is because that's all you. It was a little bit of a backhanded compliment,
right?
But it's I just don't look at it that way.
Well, and they were clearly seeing it a different way too, where they were like, "Oh, I've only ever
Right.
like their frame of reference got shifted
Right.
in a way that I think we want music to do."
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's funny because like I think when it comes to a lot of musicians who they kind of get bored with the songwriting of like. We play the same 10 songs every day.
Right. Right.
That like free improvisation tends to be where they're gravitating to because it really does have that experience where it's like I get to do something different every time I pick up this instrument.
Right.
I get to have an experience much like meditation,
where
what I get out of it is as important to me as it is to the people listening, and that we're all learning about sound and whatnot together.
I think people too, there's a lot of people that have a hard time understanding, how do I listen to this? What am I supposed to? They don't know, because it's not like dance music. It's not about telling you a story. But on a certain level, it has all the same elements. It's just a matter of, it's very difficult, and it's at the same time, I feel like there's drama and tension and. There's texture, there's all these different elements, and it's just I feel like when people see say abstract visual art, it's like they have a easier time relating to that, but it's hard to translate that into sound. It's still difficult because it could be unpleasant or really loud, and a lot of people they interpret those frequencies or textures as harsh and difficult and unpleasant, and they can be, definitely, but I still think that all sounds are a way of people project a lot of things onto sound. If you hear an ugly sound, is it really ugly? Or you know what I mean? It's you're just labeling something that's actually just vibrations, and I'm kind of fascinated by that because being very interested in meditation, and for me meditation isn't about getting really calm and peaceful. It's more about challenging concepts that I have and what's reality and what's and all these different prejudices and things or whatever. And so when I'm playing, it's I don't look at it as this is a big F you, or something. It's not like that. It's there's an element of noise that has that.
It is confrontational.
Yeah, it's kind of, and I do have that at times too. When I chose the name Uneasy Chairs, I liked the idea of it. It sounded like a kind of a punk new wave band to me. And so I do like that, and a lot of the stuff I do is really aggressive, especially. That's one of the parts that's fun about playing for an audience, is just getting really aggressive, and I kind of need that element, and
it's a little cathartic. It helps kind of we have these ideas of what performance can be, and sometimes going completely outside of what that expectation is and just delivering something atypical is as enjoyable and relieving as it is to watch a Shakespeare sonnet or something like that.
Yeah, there's so many. Just doing stuff with the silence. There's this Japanese guitar player. I can't recall his name now, but he does stuff with silence. That's just it's so intense. There's a recording where this guitar player, I can't think of his name, but he's literally sitting in a warehouse for over an hour, and he maybe played one note that entire time, and the rest of the time you just hear the rain, you hear audience coughing or something, but it's really intense and powerful, and it's not it. I don't know. It still has the same intensity to me as somebody playing a bunch of notes or filling up the space or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. To me, it's just a real free thing it's almost the more you try to label it or explain it, I like the element that you just don't know what it is. And
if the ultimate goal of art is to try to get you to think about something and to communicate some idea, then that kind of thing can be as powerful as 1,000 words. It's those moments that people share together where they're just present is just as meaningful as say a fancy camera that's cutting and whooshing with sound effects and things.
Yeah.
It's like those simple moments are just enjoyable.
One of the players I play with a lot, Wilson Shook, he's like a saxophone player in Seattle, and I first saw him play a couple years ago at Gallery 1412, and like he is like a player that there's a lot of space and nuance, and like it's just, I don't know, the intensity. I remember, I think I was a little bit stoned, but I was like, I was watching him play for the first time, and I almost got like a panic attack. It was so like, it drew me in, and it was so like powerful, and in a way that like just organized, structured music doesn't do to me. Because I know what's going to happen, and I can sense it. Like, and that's what's great about like experimental stuff is like you don't really know what's going on. You're constantly just. I like that feeling. So
yeah,
it's like a tension that's like I kind of need in music. So,
excellent.
Yeah.
Do you got a couple more minutes in you?
Sure.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's close out the hour here with a little more live Uneasy chairs here on Mid-Valley Mutations.